Hey guys, welcome to another video, and in this one I'm going to do a follow-up video to a video I did a week ago titled 5 Bad Things About the Ezio Trilogy, or in the Ezio Trilogy, or however. In this video we're going to go over 5 more bad things, because in fairness that video was mostly about Revelations, and I have found more bad things to talk about, so we're going to get into discussing those. I think it goes without saying that this is all going to be in my opinion, but just in case that's fallen on you, that's what it is. When I said you in that sentence, I think I must have had a stroke or something. Now, to start off with, we have the Armour of Brutus. Now, I know some people were fans of this. I personally don't like the Armour of Brutus. I think it looks way too heavy. I also don't like the colour red. I don't think it works with the assassin garb. I also just don't think that the Armour of Brutus really looked nice at all. It was a bit weird. The robes were way too heavy looking and too bulky, and all in all it feels as if that was really more of an armour than robes, and I wanted to have that streamlined sort of assassin look so I can look agile and things, but no, I look like I'm armed to the teeth with about 70 kilograms of armour. Like, am I supposed to be an assassin or a Spartan? Which one is it? I personally didn't like the aesthetics of these, and getting them felt so unrewarding from doing those Romulus layers, because I didn't like the reward at the end. But if you like them, that's cool. I just personally think they didn't look very good. They could have looked better and lighter and more assassin appropriate, but no, they weren't exactly what I wanted about. So yeah, fuck them. Next up we have the bad AI. Now, the AI was pretty poor in the Ezio Trilogy, but you didn't notice it because it was all about this blending in the crowd sort of business. But the AI themselves, what they do, they sometimes move in really strange ways that they'll sharply turn. They don't really interact with one another very much. It was advertised that they would converse and stuff, and you can sometimes see that, but more often than not they're just wandering around the streets aimlessly, and the crowds stick together, they don't break apart. What people are doing can be interrupted, and when you leave the area they do not go back to doing it, they just leave as well. They react to things very typically and are very predictable as crowds, when everyone should be fairly individual in how they do things, or at least randomised to a certain extent, where you'd not be able to predict what they're going to do exactly. And I feel as if that's something that Assassin's Creed has always lacked, and it's not necessarily just in the Ezio Trilogy. However, the same is in the Ezio Trilogy, but it would be nice to see the AI improve at some point and have them behave in different ways depending on maybe several different personalities that they might have in how they respond to things, for example, because that would be really cool to see, rather than have all of the crowd just run away the moment a danger sort of arises or whatever. It would be nice to see things pan out a little differently depending on how the crowds respond to the players' actions or anybody else's actions, and that would be less predictable than them running away when danger is around and shit like that, like they just do in the Ezio. But the point is that the AI could have been better in the Ezio Trilogy and arguably in the other Assassin's Creed games, because they don't really react or respond any differently to one another. They are very predictable, and in a game that focuses on that stealth, that be a blade in the crowd sort of thing, you gotta have a crowd system that is a little less predictable and more interesting, to give the player either more opportunities or a little bit more difficulty in getting from A to B, and so on and so forth, which would have been cool. Next up we have the superpower that you have in the Assassin's Creed Ezio Trilogy, and I'm not talking about eagle vision. I'm talking about the fact that nobody seems to be able to swim but you, the player, Ezio Auditore. I'm so fascinated by how Ezio seems to be the only person in this game who can swim. I mean, I understand the Animus's limitations and so on and so forth, and that the AI is pretty bad, like my previous point said, but come on, I think people could swim back then, or is this something that Ezio has invented in his Renaissance adventures? Because I would be surprised if that was the case. I think that this was a bit ridiculous, because being the only person who can swim sort of ruins the immersion, because the moment these people touch water, they die. It's not like they drown, it's just that they sink. Are they made of rocks or something? Or are they actually organic material? What's going on? Why the hell can they not swim? It doesn't make sense. It's ridiculous. And it's also quite funny. Cool off in the river, sir! Oh shit, I forgot you can't swim. Now, I quite like the parkour and freerunning of the Ezio Trilogy. However, I cannot lie that at certain points it does feel a tad too slow. Now, these are often at the points where you are required to chase people on the rooftops but end up desynchronizing because you have to climb vertically to keep going ahead while they're running on the ground, or they're running really fast using parkour, whereas you've got to climb or something. And in those situations, I find myself often feeling like this is taking forever. Now, that could be fixed by simply speeding it up a little bit, which they tried to do with future games, which either resulted in the same clunky, slow feeling that you get, or just outright really fast, jumping over buildings, like Arno being super fast but super clunky. And I feel as if this is something that's always going to be quite difficult with Assassin's Creed, is getting the parkour engine right. However, I did like the majority of this. It's just the fact that it was a bit slow in places. And they tried to fix this with Revelations, what with introducing the hook blade, which made the parkour more accessible, made it sometimes faster, which was appreciated, and also how they tried to make the gameplay more bearable by having these jumpy things with the gauntlet, so you can grab hold of the ledges and stuff to make your grip stronger, or whatever they did. They also helped. However, I feel as if the issue here is just the engine is built for slow stuff. Although it is good and looks good, and it's not as clunky as the other parkour engines and shit, and it's not that tedious, this slow little feature always did bugger me, because when in these chases and stuff, I'd always feel as if I was either lagging behind a tad too much or whatever and whatnot. It's only really ever an issue in high-speed chases on rooftops. However, when it is, it's quite a big one. To end the video on a banger, we of course have the shitty tower defense system from Assassin's Creed Revelations, which wasn't actually badly made. The only issue was it was unnecessary and didn't feel like it fit, and it was often quite irritating, to be honest, having like, oh, this day is contested, to use it again you have to do this little tower defense mission, nothing too major. Well, that was great and all, but the tower defense itself, although it wasn't done badly in the sense that it's not piss difficult or anything like that, it is actually very, very boring and not something that I really enjoyed all too much. Now, I get the whole assassin stuff on a whole new scale, being able to call assassins and see the full power of the Brotherhood and whatever, but it just doesn't work. I didn't like having it there, and I didn't like doing it. It's just not fun. That was the bottom line. I didn't enjoy it, and I think that a lot of people are with me when I say that the tower defense didn't really live up to any expectations for an Assassin's Creed tower defense, and nobody really wants a tower defense Assassin's Creed game anyway. Why they even introduced this den defense feature is beyond me. I personally wasn't a fan, and I found it to be just boring and in the way often when I wanted to use dens or whatever. Although there isn't very much use for dens, but seeing a den's been attacked again because, you know, tourists are like, oh no, I've got to enter this shitty tower defense thing again, it makes me not really want to play more of the game, in the sense that I don't want to get notorious and kill guards, which is fun, and I don't want to play the game how I want to play it, because I don't want to do these shitty tower defense missions outside of that, because otherwise I've got to do them to get my den back and shit. And then at the end of all these tower defense missions, they have this massive fucking tank come in that either burns your walls down or batters them to death, and then just goes straight through it right to your den, and you often have to resort to using your own hidden gun to help destroy it, and it feels like it's doing jack shit, and all in all, it's just fucking stupid, and I just don't like the tower defense. It feels as if that's the bottom line. Thank fuck there's only one of these that you have to do in the main story. None would have been preferable, but there is only one that you have to do to progress the main story at the start, and I didn't like that at all, but that was like the little tutorial for it. However, I feel as if the tower defense in this game was a little bit off. It shouldn't have been in the game at all, really. They should have had a different way to do things. That would have been way more interesting when it comes to defending your den, and I'm so thankful that they weren't more invasive in the game, as a whole, because that would have been so much more irritating to have to do that. But I'm just glad that it's if you want to defend your den, and otherwise you can just leave it for as long as you want. However, I would have preferred if there was a time limit to that, and then you'd have to go and retake your den. But either way you shake it, there you have it. There are 5 more bad things in the Ezio Trilogy. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to let me know what you think down below. If you disagree with me, that's perfectly fine. Or if you have anything more to add, that's what the comment section is for, am I right? Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, share, comment, tell your friends about this channel. And I will see you all in the next one with another video. So yeah.